Hey, welcome back to the Bus Hub. The driving physics in the bus are still a big talking point in the community. A lot of players compare it to OMSI, which is still widely regarded as the most realistic bus simulator when it comes to handling and physics. I was curious about this myself. What exactly makes the bus feel less realistic than OMSI? So I decided to run a side-by-side comparison. In both games, I'm using the electric Solaris Urbino on the same road section in Berlin. Of course, not every bus behaves the same in either game. For example, the electric Citaro in the bus feels quite different from the Solaris, and the same goes for OMSI. But to keep things focused, I'll limit this video to comparing this specific bus model. So let's take a look at the results. First up, suspension. I drove over a curb in both games. Both actually felt pretty good. Personally, I think OMSI feels more realistic, but that might also be due to its superior sound design. Overall, the suspension in OMSI also seems a bit stiffer, while the one in the bus was softer and more dynamic. Next up is the hill climb test, acceleration from a stop on an incline. This was interesting. In OMSI, even with the accelerator fully pressed, the bus barely moves at first. Only after a while does it gain enough momentum to climb the incline. Of course, this could also be a bit of a fluke in this specific test, and other bus models in OMSI might handle it better. In the bus, the Solaris handles the same hill with much more ease, maybe even a bit too easily. Next is the acceleration and braking test. Accelerate to 30 kilometers per hour and brake fully. Both games simulate this pretty similarly. OMSI accelerates a bit slower. Also, it seems to have a better implementation of ABS. In the bus, you can clearly see the wheels locking up at the end of the braking phase. By the way, this behavior differs between buses even in the bus. For example, in the Citaro, the wheels block completely right from the start. So ABS doesn't seem to function at all on that model. TML has still some work to do over here. Then I did some extra braking tests to see how the bus body reacts. OMSI really shines here. You can clearly see a proper nosedive due to the braking momentum. In the bus, it's much less noticeable, almost absent. I might also add that this is only a problem in articulated buses in the bus, since the solo buses all do a properly simulated nosedive. Next, I tested steering by slaloming left and right at 30 kilometers per hour, then at 50 kilometers per hour. Here, OMSI felt much more responsive and direct. It's hard to show on video, but when you're driving, you really feel the difference. In the bus, it feels more like you're driving on ice. I also noticed that especially with the electric Citaro, finally, I tested the articulation joint with a U-turn. Both games performed pretty similarly here. OMSI looked slightly more controlled and maybe a bit stiffer, but overall, not a big difference. To wrap it up, I think what really makes the bus feel less realistic than OMSI comes down to two main things. The steering just isn't as responsive. It feels a bit delayed or floaty compared to OMSI's more direct handling. Again, that's only the case for articulated buses. The solo buses feel a lot more direct in the bus as well. And there's also a lack of visible weight shift when braking. In OMSI, you can clearly see the front of the bus dip forward when slowing down, which adds a lot to the realism. In the bus, that kind of motion is almost completely absent. On top of that, OMSI's sound design plays a huge role in delivering a more immersive experience, and the bus is still lagging behind in that area. I also think one issue is that in the buses generally don't feel as heavy as in OMSI. Part of this might be the sound design, but it's also that OMSI's stiffer suspension gives a more convincing sense of weight and mass, while in the bus, the softer suspension can feel a bit too loose and exaggerated in its movement. Let's hope TML succeeds in improving both the physics and sounds. If they can bring that up to OMSI's level, it would be a real game changer, though not an easy task. OMSI has set the bar high. What do you think? Did I miss anything? Do you have a different take on the physics? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy content like this, consider subscribing for more videos on the bus. Also, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps the channel a lot. All right, see you in the next one.